How do you achieve bright skin if you have dry skin? That's the question I'm going to be answering today in my video. Now, dry skin is a state that is persistent. We're not talking about dehydrated skin from overusing a cleanser or using the wrong toner. We're talking about a persistent state, something that you're born with a tendency to, that's essentially the result of genetics at play. The other situation that we commonly see dry skin creep in is at the time of the menopause, when declining levels of estrogen can lead to drier skin. So, can dry skin ever be dewy? Can you ever get that glass skin appearance? That's the big question. The problem with dry skin is that it leads to matteness. So it's the opposite of dewy. And when the skin lacks water, the light doesn't reflect as well off the surface. And it can also lead to an exaggeration of the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. So it doesn't cause premature aging per se, but it can certainly make any existing wrinkles look worse. And I think from a practical point of view, there's also the fact that if your barrier isn't so robust, your skin is at more risk of low-grade inflammation, or what we call inflammaging. And then there's the reality of whether or not you can actually use active skincare, which in their own right can often be irritating ingredients. So I thought it would be helpful today to dig into the active ingredients that I think do work well in dry skin and do make a difference. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that you've already got a skincare kit working for you, your cleanser, your moisturizer, and your sunscreen. And if you haven't, hop over and see my video on how to rebuild your skin barrier, which basically goes into the toolkit for those with dry skin trying to make their skin more robust and their barrier that bit stronger. So the first active ingredient I consider adding into someone with dry skin who is looking to get a fresher, brighter, more glowy appearance to their skin is niacinamide. Now, oftentimes what I do first is kind of a litmus test for how far and how fast we're going to be able to go with that individual skin, and everyone needs to be basically assessed in their own right because everyone's skin is different. So niacinamide is a very versatile ingredient with lots of benefits, including improvements in pigmentation, improvements in redness. It can calm blemishes, and it's good for fine lines and wrinkles. But what I'm really interested in here is the fact that it boosts ceramide production in the skin. And ceramides are an essential part of your skin's barrier. They represent around 40% of that outer part of your stratum corneum, the glue, the mortar around the bricks that are the skin cells. And when you have a good level of ceramides in your skin, it behaves in a more robust fashion and will look better. When skin functions better, it tends to look better. So niacinamide has loads of anti-aging benefits and benefits in redness and blemish-prone skin, but it has this ability to increase ceramides at the same time. So it's a very balanced ingredient, and I think oftentimes that's the one that's worth introducing first because it can pave the way to the addition of other active ingredients downstream. The next one to think about is lactic acid. An alpha hydroxy acid I consider to be at the more gentle end of the spectrum, which has additional humectant properties. So again, you're getting this dual aspect where on the one hand, it has a gentle exfoliating effect, which can improve texture and therefore the optics of the skin because that surface layer is smoother and the light pops off of it more readily. But it's also going to attract water into the skin, and it is found in skin's own natural moisturizing factors. So in a sense, you're just replacing what's already in the skin. And I find that those ingredients are often the best in terms of their benefits and also in terms of their tolerability. So gentle AHA, nothing too aggressive, nothing too harsh. And again, a good sign that your skin's going to be receptive to the use of active ingredients. The next group of ingredients worth thinking about are vitamin C and its derivatives. Now, I often think that vitamin C is one of the best anti-aging ingredients because it has this anti-inflammatory effect at the same time as being good for collagen production and for improving hyperpigmentation. But the reality is the best studied form, the L-ascorbic acid form, has a low pH in formula because it's required to get it into the skin. That in itself can be quite irritating. So what I'm finding is more interesting and more helpful potentially in dry skin types is the use of some of the vitamin C esters, in particular ascorbyl glucoside and magnesium ascorbyl phosphate, both of which are easy to formulate. They're very stable as opposed to L-ascorbic acid, which is quite unstable. And they are just easier for the skin to tolerate, but still deliver those benefits. So I think that's worth considering. And the great thing about vitamin C is you can happily use it around the eyes and on the neck, like niacinamide. And those are often the signs where in dry skin, you're going to sort of notice fine lines and wrinkles most prominently. So it's great to have an active ingredient that is suitable for those delicate parts. So as we get a bit more active, I think it's worth considering oleic acid as your acid with extra. I talk about this ingredient a lot, but I do find that particularly in someone who's got dry skin as part of an issue like rosacea, or they're just a bit redness prone, oleic acid can really work wonders. Again, it's because of its multiple modes of action. On the one hand, it's powerfully anti-inflammatory, hence its use in rosacea. But there are plenty of individuals who just got redness prone skin, maybe a bit of mild barrier dysfunction, who are what I would call on the spectrum for rosacea without having full-blown disease. And in context of having dry skin and that sort of problem, oleic acid is really wonderful. And in addition to those benefits, it can also pave the way to stronger ingredients like retinoids later on, because it just dials down the skin's tendency to be reactive. It is again good for blemish prone skin, for hyperpigmentation as well. So it's such a good all-rounder that I think it's worth considering. So in deciding which acid is best for you, I think that if you're just looking for a bit of extra radiance, but your skin is essentially fine, just on the dry side, then I think lactic acid is the right route to take. But if you're someone who has additional concerns like redness, like pigmentation, perhaps tendency to breakouts, then I think oleic acid is the right route forward. Now, if you've managed to get at least one of those ingredients going, then I think there's absolutely no reason for you to be scared of the idea of a retinoid. Now, retinoids can often scare people. There's a lot of retinoid fear out there because they are associated with some side effects. But in my experience, if something has a significant impact on your skin, in a sense, there's almost always a bit of a trade-off, at least in the short term. But if you've managed to find a way to build either a vitamin C based ingredient or niacinamide into your routine, I think there's no reason that you shouldn't try. So I'd always use the retinoid in isolation at night, use any other ingredients in your morning routine, and start with a gentle one. So don't go straight in with a full strength prescription retinoid if it's your first foray and you have dry skin, you're nervous. I think the best route to start off with is something like retinaldehyde or gram-active retinoid, and choose products where the retinoid strength is clearly stated so you know where you're going in terms of the dosing spectrum. But in the end, dry skin, which has the correct supportive basic skincare routine going on, can often happily use a retinoid and really see the benefits in terms of that radiance, in terms of that sort of potential for improving fine lines and just giving skin a boost really and transforming it. So there's no reason to think that you shouldn't be able to access all those goodies. If you're acne prone and prescription retinoid does seem the right route, I'll often try using different or adapalene first. And I'll tend to strip out everything else if I'm going down that route, because really you just want to have that one variable to control for. So if you get some dryness and irritancy, you know exactly where it's coming from. And I just go in with a really low frequency, a small dose. I'll often layer it over a moisturizer. I might well put more moisturizer on over the top, but I have done videos on how to dose the retinoid properly. So check those out if you're at all nervous or anxious. But it often is very successful and helpful as long as you use the right products alongside it. So no need to be scared. If you've got blemish prone skin, which is still a thing in dry skin types, then a retinoid is going to be super helpful for you. But just be cautious, be careful, there'll be a way forward. So just as a final note, slow and steady wins the skincare race, especially with dry skin. And don't feel the need to incorporate all the ingredients I've mentioned. The idea is really to cherry pick those which will, multitask best for you, your skin and your needs. And if one ingredient gets you to the place that you want to be, amazing, just sit tight with that. Give each ingredient 6 weeks, only introduce one active ingredient at a time, just otherwise you get too much confounding data about what's doing what. And, you know, relax, enjoy the results, and be confident that even with dry skin, it's a bit more challenging. You can get dewy, bright skin, and great skin days can be closer than you thought. So if you like this video, guys, please hit like and subscribe for more weekly content. It really helps if you support the channel and let me know what you want from the channel. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.